And we're back, guys. We're on camera.
Hello, everyone. Clo, Trill Bill. We back at you with a little like 5-6 minute video of just we're gonna be talking about Donald Sterling because I had no idea they were gonna shut down that whole NBA playoffs for this man. I feel like that was just giving him what he wants because he's a piece of shit. Shout out to the NBA. Shout out to Silver for kicking him out. We're gonna talk about Derrick Rose and DeMarcus Cousins, what their careers should have been if Derrick Rose didn't tear his ACL against the 76ers in that playoff series, and then the rest is history. And then with Boogie, after he left Sacramento and went to New Orleans, tore his Achilles, and ever since that it's been negativity for him. And we're gonna also talk about where Kurt Angle said Brock Lesnar wants to fight one more person, and it's Jon Jones. And Jon Jones pretty much said Brock's too slow, and I will destroy him in the ring. And I kind of agree with him to that. But let's start it off with Donald Sterling. So with Donald Sterling, if people do not remember, there's a bunch of tapes of him being just flat out racist to his girlfriend, to basically saying he does not like black people, he doesn't like people of color at all. Yet he was an NBA owner, and majority of the people in the NBA, the players, are black. So you got all these players, realizing, damn, my owner is racist, and he's basically paying me millions, but I have to still play for him. And what came out earlier, probably I think it was yesterday, that they were going to shut down the whole entire NBA playoffs for this man to handle the situation. And I personally think I don't think you should have done that. I think it would have been giving him what he wants, the attention and stuff. I feel like Adam Silver just did a great job of basically telling him, yo, get out of my league. You're banned for life. You can't come into the league. I haven't heard of Donald Sterling since then. The only reason I'm hearing him now is because ESPN brought up these, they might have a 30 for 30 for him, and I think it would be a great 30 for 30, but overall I think he's just a piece of shit, and I'm glad the way the NBA handled it, and I wouldn't have wanted to miss those playoffs or those NBA playoffs shut down, because I think that was the year that it was Miami against San Antonio, and it went to 7 with Ray Allen shot and all that, and those playoffs were beautiful.
Yep. But just overall, with the whole Donald Sterling situation, we all saw him being racist. If you didn't see it, you heard it. You heard the clips of him talking to his girlfriend about Magic and other black people after games, all that stuff. He was cool with them being around, just, don't bring around him. And that's some wild stuff to say. So it's just like at that point, as an NBA player, like we said, a majority African-American league, you're going to feel some type of way about that. At the end of the day, this man signs my checks and he's racist. There's no other way around it. He's just a racist person, and that was something that had to be fixed by the NBA.
Facts.
Moving on to our next topic, looking at Boogie and Derrick Rose injuries, everything that's happened with their careers. Just starting off with Derrick Rose.
I think he would have been a top 10 point guard ever.
All time. The fact that he was one of the youngest MVPs, if not the youngest MVP in NBA
I think he
history.
was. I think he still is the youngest MVP at what, 22?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He just showed you that the sky was the limit for him. Like, coming out of Memphis, I didn't see it. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't see this at all. 22-7 on those first few years when he was taking Boston to 7 games, when they already had their big 3.
He was explosive and shit like that, but I didn't expect him to win the MVP that year. I didn't expect for the Bulls to do what they were doing. They were literally, if LeBron wasn't on Miami, if he was on Cleveland or something, I have no doubt in my mind that Bulls team would have gone to at least one NBA Finals with Derrick Rose, just because they were that deep. They had Luol Deng and their defense, Deng, Boozer, Noah. I think they had Ronnie Brewer. They had a defense over there, and who was the scorer? Derrick Rose. You couldn't stop him at any day. He was Westbrook before Westbrook even thought about doing what he does now, pretty much.
Most definitely.
And since the injuries, of course, that plays the biggest part into it. That's why he isn't the way he is anymore. It's been hard. It's not even just physically on your body, but mentally, to just always work hard to try to come back from an injury, and your body just gives out on you again and again. He's had more injuries than he's had seasons in the NBA. Let's just put that right there.
Not only that, my man has torn his meniscus and
at
just
least
had
4
knee
times.
Problem. He's torn something in his knee at least 4 times.
His knees are fried, and the crazy thing is, he still averaged around 18-4-4 last year. And as I said when he went to Detroit, I say you send Reggie Jackson out of there and you start Derrick Rose, because he's still better than half of these point guards in the league, and he could still play. Just like when he dropped, I think it was 40 or 50 last year.
Yeah,
and
50,
you saw glimpses of that greatness of Derrick Rose, and I really think he could still not do those MVP numbers, but he could easily average 18, 5-5 for the rest of his career on Detroit or wherever he goes, because he's still a solid player. He's not what he was before, but he still got that, those explosive touches every now and then.
Most definitely. Shifting over to look at Boogie.
Tragic.
Everything's just gone left since he left Sacramento, got to New Orleans.
It's not
whatever
a coincidence.
you want to call it. It's just My man was averaging 25.9 and 11.9
with 4 assists.
From 2015 to 2018, my man was going to walk into a max contract.
He was the best big man in basketball.
Either 150 or 200, and then everything just goes left.
Mm-hmm.
You tear an Achilles, you tear a quad, you tear ACL, and this all happens on the same leg. Bruh, you should be
That's
happy
the
you
thing,
still
though. The
walking
same
at this point.
leg, yo.
Like,
I feel so bad
insane.
for him because he would have ended up as one of the best big men ever. He was the #1 big man in basketball. Basically, before like all these big men came out of nowhere and started shooting the ball and having handles and shit, he was the best center in basketball for a good minute. Better than Dwight Howard, better than AD, better than all those centers that came before Cat and Joker and Embiid and all of them. DeMarcus Cousins was that serious, and then he got a shot coming into New Orleans, and yo, him and AD were going crazy. And people forget Boogie wasn't there when the Pelicans beat Portland as the 6th seed and they were the 3 seed. It's just a bunch of what ifs. If Boogie was healthy, yo, the Pelicans would have probably gone to the Western Conference Finals. You couldn't stop them.
Warriors, most definitely.
And you can't. The Warriors' weakness, I always said it, was a center. That's why when you would see the Timberwolves or big men like that play, such as Cat, play against the Warriors, they would dominate because there's no center. You're not sticking Draymond Green on Boogie or on Cat or on Embiid. You're not putting fucking what's Bogut. You're not putting Bogut. You're not putting Pachulia on these guys. That was the Warriors' weakness. And Boogie could have easily exposed that. But I just feel genuinely bad for him because he's missed, as we said in numerous episodes before, he's missed out on over $150 million. And, he's not the same way he is. He's going to have to be out for a whole another year on this ACL injury. And my heart just goes out to him because just as I said with the Derrick Rose situation, it's just mentally what it's doing to your head. Like, you're trying to be the best you can be, and you can't because your body's just giving out on you. It was a measly little practice in Vegas, and he tears his ACL. Who would have thought it was a torn ACL? But yeah, I just feel bad for him. I think he's taking a big hit. I don't even think he's a Hall of Fame type of player anymore. Maybe his first 7-8 years in the league. But with these type of injuries, all I'm wishing for him is that he comes back. If it's this year he comes back, or at least next year he comes back and he plays 2-3 solid years. I hope he gets a ring. I hope he stays with the Lakers and LeBron gets him a ring just because I feel like he deserves it. Because, he's not a bad person at all. And Boogie has matured. You remember Boogie in Sacramento?
Exactly.
He used to, he's getting a tech after every single game. They're interviewing him. He's saying, it's rigged. The refs are out to get me. You see the game. You watch the game. This and that. Oh, my God, flagrant this. Oh, my God, foul that. He's mature. He's the one that's calming down Draymond and KD when they had the little scuffle. He's the one that's trying to be that bigger person and calm his teammates down. So that's why I got nothing but respect for Boogie, and I wish him the best.
You just basically took the words out of my mouth. He's went from being probably one of the most hated to now one of the most loved players, just for the simple fact that he couldn't control any of this. You can't control your injuries like this, especially catastrophic injuries. Mm-hmm. And like we said, we've all seen the way he's grown on and off the basketball court, helping people out, being a much more mature person, being a bigger man. There were times when he was calming down AD in New Orleans, so it's like he knew he had to take that next step in order to be looked at as an elite basketball player, and he did that. Facts. And it's just like, damn, my body gave out on me. Facts. Can't control it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But transitioning to our last topic of the day, probably one of the more interesting ones. Brock Lesnar wants to fight Jon Jones. I feel like for the simple fact that Jon Jones grew up with football brothers. Jon Jones' brothers are Arthur Jones, who played for the Ravens, a defensive lineman, and Chandler Jones, who played for the Patriots.
He's one of the best rushers in football.
So I'm just like, my man has no problem putting these hands on anybody and everybody. He doesn't discriminate at all. He gonna whoop Brock Lesnar like he stole something. That's how I feel. If that
the
fight
crazy
was
thing is,
I
don't even think I think he's a light heavyweight and Brock's a heavyweight, but I still give the edge to Jon Jones just because, just the way he could fight. But the one thing I can say is that, you don't let Brock Lesnar get a hold of you, and don't let him land one of them shots on you, because at the end of the day, he is a heavyweight and you are a light heavyweight. You are most likely quicker and more craftier with your skills than Brock Lesnar, but if he gets a hold of you or he hits you once, you're going to feel that shit and you might be done right there. But if they were to fight, I'm taking Jon Jones just because it's Jon Jones. He's probably one of the best fighters since Anderson Silva, and I think he could easily, toy with Brock Lesnar and tire his little fat self down and, easily get it with the TKO or the submission. Jon
Jones, his biggest enemy is himself at this
Facts.
point. I ain't finna cap.
I think everyone's biggest enemy is themselves, and it's just your conscience.
Yeah.
If we're gonna get into that.
Because honestly, I don't see anybody beating Jon Jones in another fight unless he just disqualifies himself for being on drugs or something like that. But other than that, can't nobody throw hands or kick better than Jon Jones. We've seen him fight Cormier 7-8 times, damn near almost.
Oh my God, they
he
really
be
hate each
beating
other.
the black off that man. So it's just like at this point, what else do we need to see? We want to see something different.
I mean, it would have been cool. I would love to see Jon Jones go against Silva or go against
My dream fight at this point.
Machida.
Let me see Jon Jones fight Conor, bro.
Conor McGregor get his ass killed.
Let me see Jon Jones fight.
Yo, Jon
Conor.
Jones would kill him. Yo, Conor McGregor is 145 pounds, 150.
Shit,
You want to see a murder?
Happen. Oh yeah.
You want to see a murder?
I have no problem with saying that.
I mean, they're both professional fighters, but it's just, bro, yo, it's the reach. Just like, yo, I saw the fight that just happened this past weekend. I know Cormier beat the guy from Ohio once, but I was just looking at the reach and everything. Yo, did you see that slow video of the TKO? Yo,
Yeah.
he fucked his ass up.
Yeah.
Yo, Cormier couldn't do anything, but he got little T-Rex arms. He was getting his ass beat. Couldn't do shit.
Crazy day. But as always, we feel like we've covered all our topics for today. NBF_Trill on Twitter.
NBF_Clo on Twitter. Nothing but facts on Twitter. Nothing but facts on Instagram. Like this video, share it, post it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.